Hey, how's it going? David from Comic Book Investments. This is going to be a quick video of a rant about CGC. I mean, I'm like working right now. I was, grading this book, to get off, to see what to do with it, and a bunch of others. There's piles of books here around me. But yeah, I'd stop so I could make this video really quick. But yeah, so, man. CGC once again. I mean, they've been pretty good recently. The virus hit and it slowed everything down across the board, not just CGC, everyone else. But CGC, out of all the companies that I use, they're doing pretty good. Like, it wasn't slowed down that much. Then, I don't know what happened. So we send in February. So we send every month. We send in 300 books to CGC. So we send in 300 on February. And they get we notice, normally send them and they acknowledge that they get the order and all that kind of stuff. We didn't receive anything. Like, okay, that's a little odd. Maybe they're a little slow. So weeks go by, still nothing. And so we call. And then they're like, oh, yeah, we have your order. We just haven't gone through it. We're just so backed up. And then we said, like, hey, we have walkthroughs in Express. And they're like, yeah, you're supposed to put walkthrough and Express on the package itself so we know that they're in there so we can get them out right away. And we did that. And they're like, oh, sorry, we're just so busy. So instantly right there, our walkthroughs in Express that should have been done weeks ago, not even touched. Not even input in nothing. And we're like, okay, fine, that's whatever. Are you going to get to them? Yeah, no problem. We'll set it aside. Another week goes by. Nothing. No acknowledgement that they got the order. Nothing in the system, whatever. We call again. Like, what is this? What's going on? Like, when we call, are you writing down this information when we talk to you on the phone? Like, hey, yeah, they called a week ago and they're looking for these packages. And then again, nothing. Like, oh, okay, sorry, we'll get to it. Don't worry, we're just really far behind. All this kind of stuff. I'm like, okay. So then, we just keep things going nonstop. And we're like, okay, they're behind. So March comes around, we send in March's order. Then they log in March's order, just on time, normal, all this kind of stuff. And so then we call again, we're like, hey, you did March's order. Where's February's order? You know what they said? They go, oh, we're not sure where it is. We have to locate it. We have to locate it? We have to locate it? That means we lost it. We don't know where it is. We have to locate it. What do you mean? It's a big box. And we're like freaking out because why? Because that order is like $100,000 of stuff. And so we're like, so I'm talking to my brother because, we work together and I'm like, well, what the hell? What are we going to do? Like, how does their insurance work? Are we even going to get paid if they lose this order? And are they going to insure us on what? Because they didn't grade the book. So, you could have a 9.8 of one book and a 9.4 of the same book, and it could be vastly different. So how would they know? They just see oh, you have a giant size X-Men #1 or whatever it is, Hulk 181 on this sheet. And that's all they see. They don't know the grade it is. So it's like, well, how's the insurance going to pay us back? They're going to have to take our word for it that it's worth X. And knowing CGC, it's not going to work out that way. So now I'm just freaking out because I'm like, oh my God, this is our business. Not only are you late and you keep on giving us the runaround, now you don't know where it is. So, and every time we talk to them, they're like, oh, we'll call you right back. We're going to locate her. We're going to do this and we'll call you right back. Sorry, all this kind of stuff. And I understand, because of this virus, everything's slow. And they're doing a better job. I sent in some cards to Beckett to get graded in September. It's been over 6 months. And I'm like, when I paid for it, it was 30 day, whatever it was. And I call months later, and I'm Beckett, I'm speaking of. And I'm like, hey, where's my order? And they're like, oh, we haven't received it yet. And I'm like, so I'm freaking out. And I'm like, I lost it. I sent her the wrong address, or they never got it, or anything like that. And so I'm talking to him like, oh, well, we don't actually receive the package from anywhere 3 to 6 months. I'm like, what? And they're like, yeah, so when we receive the package, that's when the grading process starts. So that's when the 30 days starts. Because I was like, hey, you said 30 days. I'm like, okay. So do you have the package? Oh yeah, it's sitting over there. I'm like, so you have the package, you just haven't received it yet. Because once they receive it, that means the 30 days starts. I'm like, okay, whatever. So I get an email from them in like maybe December or January. We received your package. I'm like, okay, it's going to be 30 days. It's now mid-March and no updates. They said they were grading my cards, nothing. So I'm like, and then my friend, he sent stuff into WADA. It took him a year to get back to them. Every time you'd send it in and you check the turnaround days, it kept on getting more and more and more. It's like, hey, I sent this in when the turnaround days were like 60 days. Now you're telling me it's 6 months? And then the 6 months pass, nothing happens. And it's just like, oh my God. It's like, hire more people. There's people that need work. And you know, like CGC's in Florida, their minimum wage is like $8.50 an hour, I believe. And I think what it is they pay people so little that they're like, well, I'd rather sit on unemployment, get the coronavirus unemployment, my normal unemployment, and I'll make more money than what CGC can pay me. So it's just like, ugh. It's like, pay your people more. Do something. Figure something out. And so then, yeah. So I'm thinking we're like, great. We're out of like this $100,000. That's like our business. We need this book. And that's another thing is when they're slow like this, it hurts us because we're used to getting them in and we depend on that comics to come in. Then we can list it and we depend on selling them. So we make money, all this kind of stuff. So then we're like freaking out because it's like, well, what are we going to do? They lost this package. Finally, they get back to us. Or it's a lady, actually. We called them. And again, it's like, this lady was a little more sympathetic. It's like, oh, I feel sorry for you guys. Yeah, we're going to track this down. And don't worry. I'm going to contact the people and figure out what's going on. And we're like, okay. Like, we've heard this story before. Then they finally call us back. And this is what they tell us. They go, oh, we tried emailing you several times and you didn't get our message. And we're like, email about what? And they're like, there was 2 extra books in there that we wasn't in your submission order form. We're like, 2 extra books? And they're like, what were they? They're like, oh, Spider-Man 16 and like a Tales of Suspense like 64 or something like that. And we're like looking at our sheets and we're like, we don't have what? We're so confused. Like, I don't know what these books are. She's like, yeah, we didn't know what to do. So we tried emailing you and you didn't respond. So therefore, and we're like, didn't respond. I was like, what email did you use? And they tell us the email and we look it up and we're like, no, we don't have anything from you. Check your junk folder. And like, we're on email every day. So we know what's coming and going. Nothing. And they're like, well, I don't know. You know, we tried emailing you. I'm like, well, if you're worried about 2 books that are in the order that aren't in the submission form, why didn't you process the rest of the books? We have 300 and you're worried about 2 in there? What about the walkthroughs and the expresses or the standards? Like, you're not going to do those? You're just going to push the order away until we eventually complain enough where you have to track it down? What if we never said anything? Is this going to sit somewhere in the corner forever? So anyways, I was like, we didn't receive any emails. She's like, well, let me talk to the people that sent you the email. And she's like, I'll try to get a hold of them. And then she's like, I'll put you on hold. Puts on hold. Tries to track down the people, like calls the other department. Oh, I can't get a hold of the other department. And I'm like, you can't get a hold of your own people? Like the people that are probably next door? You can't walk across the door. And like, this is still working hours, so it's not like everyone's gone home. You can't just walk across the hall. Just, hey, do you remember emailing these people about? Nothing. So then they're like, okay, we'll start grading them. And it's like, yeah, that's what we wanted. This is what we pay for, for you to grade them. Like, I don't know why you're holding it back. So thankfully, we have that order. But it's just going through these emotions of like for months. Like, oh, first they give us the runaround. Oh, we don't know where your order is, or we haven't processed your order, and all this kind of stuff. And they say that, like, you know, they tried contacting us, and when they opened the order, oh, we opened the order weeks ago, and we saw 2 extra books. And it's like, we called you like a week ago, and you said you didn't even know where the order was. Like, it's just things like that. It's like, obviously they're lying. Obviously they're covering butt. I'm pretty sure this is what happened. Oh yeah, and by the way, they're still charging us for the walkthrough and the express. Even though walkthrough is supposed to be next day turnaround and express is supposed to be, 7 days or something like that. They're still charging us even though it's been there for over a month. I guarantee what happened was they put it aside for some reason, I don't know, and then it just got forgotten about, and then every time we would call, they're like, yeah, we'll get on it. And then they just probably made a sticky note, threw that sticky note in the garbage, or just lost the sticky note, or who knows what it is. And so they're just making excuses every single time. But just stupidly, like every time we call, I don't know what's going on in there. Like, it's a terrible Rant business. I've said this before. I've had so many issues with them. Like, this is just another rant. And it's just like, the problem is, the real issue is there's no competition in the field. CGC controls like 99% of the market. Like, yeah, you have PGX, but who uses that really? And then you have CBCS, and they were okay in the beginning, and then they just kind of turned to trash after they got bought by Beckett. And then on top of that, people don't want to have a CBCS slab. They want the CGC. So they control the market. So they know that. And so they can just, dick people around, because in the end, you're going to use them because you want to make sure that your books have value, hold value, whatever it is. So I don't know. Sorry. I've just been ranting. It's just been a long day dealing with this like headache. When they said they like lost it and then they found it and then, or who knows, whatever it is. But yeah, so sorry, I've been rambling. Have a good day, I guess. All right, later.